It really is an argument for Patrick Reed to be in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
you need a guy like that who is
I miss
just
him.
a
I miss him big
loose
time this week.
cannon.
Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our great friends at Chevrolet, Chevy.com/electric. We need to get this thing fucking going, man. We need this Ryder Cup to start. We talked about it earlier. We're talking about it now. The fact that this thing isn't like a 5-day event, it's only a 3-day event, is really starting to piss me off. I want golf balls in the air. I'm having so much conjecture. People are breaking down. They're breaking down the history of whether they play foursomes first or 4-ball first. Brandel's going on tirades about how that's going to change the whole thing, and now he doesn't like it, and they're bad. We need this thing to fucking start. Let's get balls in the air. Let's get Ludwig up there against fucking JT and have people battle out the captain's picks. We need this thing to fucking start.
We need it to start now. We're seeing all these little photos. Rory going up to JT, whispering something into his ear, clearly being like, how'd they let you out here? And they all shared a laugh. And it's just a little too buddy-buddy right now. I'm watching all these guys kind of practice. The junior team is out there. The Ryder Cup socials are really hammering that, being like the first team to tee off is not the U.S. Ryder Cup team. It's so like I need the big dogs to shine right now. Because we're all chomping at the bit. Like we need this to happen.
I'm watching Novak Djokovic driving greens and shit. Like that's how I'm grinding over. There's this all-star thing going on. Like what are we doing here?
I've been wearing this gear for 3-4 days straight now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm wasting this gear on days that there's no golf.
Fuck
It's
me,
like
man.
tomorrow doesn't even really exist because they played 9 holes today. Both teams played 18 yesterday. They both played 9 today. I think they're both playing 9 tomorrow morning, but there's no press conferences. So it's just going to be another day of absolutely nothing going on. It is kind of amazing at how much content/attention goes into this tournament every 2 years. Because when this thing started, it was just like, we just get some guys together, go play golf. Now it's like both teams have full stats guys. I mean, the amount of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, it's almost like for how little golf, the proportion of attention and money and detail in this event for actual golf shots hit is like shockingly large.
Yeah, I was looking too. Like a lot of these guys are only going to play 3 matches, 2 matches. Like, I guess 3, maybe 4 if you're one of the better guys. They're talking about the course is so hilly that very unlikely anybody even plays all 5, maybe a few guys. So really, it's like all this fucking hoopla. I mean, last time we had Scotty and Bryson, they just played alternate shot together, I believe, right? So it was like in the, those guys are sitting around all day. Then they sit around all Friday morning. They finally hit a shot in the afternoon, and they're only playing half the fucking shots because it's alternate shot. So it really happens pretty quickly. It's 3 days. At least the President's Cup, I'll give the President's Cup a little credit this week because it is funny how the entire President's Cup week, we all kind of talk about how like, it's not quite the Ryder Cup. And then all Ryder Cup week, nobody even mentions the fucking President's Cup. At least they do that bad boy for 4 days. So you get like 4 days of golf, which, at this moment, I'm kind of chopping for that. I'm feeling that. But I will say, it's almost like that first Friday, which now I'm committed. We can't wear this shit all week, Trent. We can't be like breaking down whispers in ears all week and then miss any of the fucking golf. So I'm committed to Friday. I'm going to watch every second of that thing. And that's going to be like the first college football Saturday or the first NFL football Sunday. I mean, we got golf all fucking day from 1:30 a.m. Eastern and till 12, 13, 14 hours later. We're going to have the quick turnaround where like when the last couple matches are finishing up on 16, they start rolling out what the matchups are in like an hour off the tee. The guys are rushing to get lunch. So I need all that. We can't miss a moment of it, but god damn, do we need this thing to fucking start already.
I can't wait. I obviously can't wait. I can't wait to try and stay up. I'm not saying I'm not going to commit to anything right now. I'm not going to commit to saying I'm going to stay up for 24 straight hours. I'm really confused about what I'm going to have to deal with on Saturday into Sunday. I take off for Rome at like 7 p.m. our time. And then, so like at some point, I'm like chasing the Ryder Cup. I'm like on my way there. So it feels like I'll actually be able to watch it in the air, right?
What is it, a 6-hour difference, Dan?
Yeah, it's 6 hours from the East Coast. I'm having a hard time. I don't know if my Wi-Fi is terrible, but I'm having a very hard time.
You're a little squiggly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, the first tee time is 11:35 local time, which is 5:35 Eastern. So you might be able to sleep on Saturday night. That's nice.
I miss no golf on that flight. I miss zero golf on that flight. That
you're
is
just,
amazing.
You're just gonna watch the end, and then just like basically you're like Ubering to the tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's incredible. We saw John Feidelberg last night. He's on his way to the Ryder Cup. Just the most random guy to ever go to the Ryder Cup in the history of the world.
So what's he doing?
He's just going with a I forget the sponsor, but a sponsor invited him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to go to a couple events, smoke a couple cigars, drink a couple, whiskeys, and just be in Rome." And I said, "That's fantastic." If you ask me,
I'll say I wasn't prepared for how Rome and this thing's going to be. Like when they said it was in Paris when I was there, we were like an hour away from Paris, and nobody really left like the area where Le Golf National was that much. Maybe like one night you made your way in, but you're tired. I'm fucking on the set. They're talking about how the hotel accommodations, guys are posting pictures of like they're in the fucking Vatican, like they're sleeping with the Pope. People are out to dinner every night. Now I'm rattled that we're not there. I had to go last night. I had to go get a nice Italian dinner with some red wine because it's fucking Rome all over the place through this thing. It just didn't register in my brain how Roman this goddamn event was going to be. It's fucking awesome. Rome is awesome.
It's pretty close. I'm actually going to go into the city right after we're done with this podcast. It's like a 30-minute Uber. Check out the Coliseum. Check out the Roman Forum. I watched 4 episodes last night of that Netflix show, Roman Empire, about Commodus, the first season. So Faustina, you want to talk about a backstabbing bitch. But that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to do, because the opening ceremony is not till 4 p.m. I'm going to do like a little catacombs tour underneath at 9 in the morning. But yeah, the hotel that so the golf course is kind of outside the city. The hotel that all the players are staying at is in the city. It's been kind of like, it's 40 minutes away. So they were complaining a little bit about, they have a police escort that's taking them. But then they said that the police escort was going too fast, so the players were getting like car sick. So they told the police escort to slow down, and then today it took like an hour to get here. So they're like too hot, too cold. These guys are so damn like pampered. It's like a police escort, but it's actually too fast, or it's too slow of a police escort.
What the fuck are we talking about? The police escort's too fast. What are they on Vespas? How is it too fast?
I guess it's like, stop and go traffic, and they're like getting like, it's Rome. It's a big city. There's traffic. So I think they're trying to weave in and out.
The police escort's very interesting. It really, like, how fast could you get through New York City with a police escort? Like, it has to cut everything in half, no?
Remember Chris Christie had that big one where he was just,
Bridge
stop traffic so he could get across the bridge?
He shut down the bridge, I remember. There was like to spite one of his political rivals, I thought.
Yeah.
It was he like shut down the whole bridge, which caused like hours and hours of delays for like hundreds of thousands of people. And I think it was literally just to like not let a political, I can't remember the details, but it was out of pure spite. And then he had to like try to cover it up and ended up not. And it kind of ruined his whole political career to the point where he was then like answering phones for Donald Trump after he shit on him for fucking 2 years.
Now that I think about it, I think I watched one of those videos about how the president travels around. And I want to say if a president lands at LaGuardia, they can get to like the Waldorf Astoria in 7 minutes. It's like, because they shut the city down and they just go right through everybody.
Just one lane, dude.
Boom. Right. It's one lane. And normally LaGuardia to that area of the city is like 45 minutes.
You're not stopping at stoplights. You're going 75 miles an hour the whole entire time. It's a true mile. You know what I mean? You're going.
It's a Midwest mile. It's a true mile.
Right. The second you get in that car, you are flying, and there's not a single person that can come even close. If you think about it, I would say probably within a mile, front and back, no car is able to move.
The Midwest Mile is such a real thing because, like, I grew up in LA, which is really bad traffic, and then New York, obviously, even worse, I think. So people will tell you in the Midwest, they're like, yeah, I only live 15 miles down the road. They'd say that in Wisconsin, and in my head, I'm like, that's very, very far. But he's saying it as though it's around the corner because it takes him 15 minutes every time.
When the mile and ratio minute, when the ratio is 1-to-1, that's a Midwest mile.
That's exactly right. We were seeing that in Wisconsin. It was like it's even faster because the speed limit's like 65 or 70, and you're like, all right, we're 47 miles away. It says we're going to be there in 44 minutes. You're like, what? Wow, that's so nice. Trent, I got a question for you. Have you heard the phrase "dolce far niente"?
No.
This is a big one. This made me think of you. I doubt I'm saying that correctly, but that literally translates to the sweetness of doing nothing.
Ooh.
Get that tatted.
Tattoo? Yeah. I was just thinking that's a tattoo, baby.
It's an Italian phrase for the sweetness of doing nothing, which we can all relate to, but I feel like you especially can relate to that one.
Give it to me one more time.
It is dolce far niente.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's my new life motto.
Rich Lerner dropped that one yesterday on the live from, and I wrote that down.
I read a book called Do Nothing, and it was very interesting. It was basically about how in today's like culture and society, it used to be that the goal was to do no work at all. It was to be rich enough that you could sit around and everyone else would do work for you. Now it's flipped, where we glorify like productivity, and the CEOs are talking about how I wake up at 5 a.m. and I sleep this long and I sleep that long. And it's like completely flipped. And apparently it's like messing with our brains, because the human brain is designed to like be very happy in this state of doing absolutely nothing. I thought that was very interesting, that it used to be the goal was to sit in like a castle somewhere, and now the goal is to like be, in an Instagram story talking about how you write pages for 30 minutes and then you meditate for 20 minutes and then you take a run.
Right. Yeah, Gary Vee is like, sell your kids and like and move, and just like that's, you got to make money now. You got to make money. You got to be making money. You got to be working. You got to be doing it. You got to be doing the thing. I'd rather sit and do nothing. Dolce far niente. Far niente. Yep.
That's a great line.
Dolce far niente.
Wow.
Nice to say too. It rolls off nicely. Our friends at Chevrolet have over 110,000 charging stations across the United States and Canada, and growing. I can't imagine where you would begin to get 110,000 of anything, literally anything.
Yeah, and it's an important thing. It's an important piece of the puzzle that you probably don't think about. You get an electric car and you're like, how am I gonna charge this thing up? Hopefully that they have the infrastructure around the country so that no matter where I go, I can charge this thing up. And then you hear the number of 110,000 of them. It's like, yup, they got that covered. No problem.
Also, your smartphone becomes your co-pilot, folks, when using the My Chevrolet mobile app. It's got Energy Assist. The app allows you to access vehicle information like your battery status, charging settings from literally anywhere. The Energy Assist feature intelligently plans your routes, tells you where and how long to charge up, and gives you real-time data about charging station availability. That's incredible. That is new age, as technologically advanced as you could possibly be with the electric vehicles, with less maintenance, the whole deal, because you've got the electrics, the EVs from Chevy, who, by the way, been making cars for literally a century. They've been making electric vehicles for a decade now. There are different home charging options available for you, so you can use Chevy electric vehicles that offer great options for charging, all of them as simple as plugging in your smartphone. That's it. So I know you want to learn more. I know you're thinking about all this technology, meeting the bow tie and how iconic it is. That's what you should be thinking. Now you should go to chevy.com/electric. Check them out. Check out Chevy. They've been behind us for a couple of years now. We appreciate it. So go appreciate them at chevy.com/electric. All right, couple things here to get to. Some U.S. pairings. So these guys were out yesterday, I guess 2 days ago if you're listening to the show, because everything's all fucked up. Plus we're 9 hours behind or 6 hours behind. But obvious ones, we had Cantlay and Schauffele. We had JT and Spieth. A couple interesting ones. Yesterday in a match, there was a 4-ball out there that was Brian Harman, Max Homa, Ricky Fowler, and Colin Morikawa. But it wasn't the teams that you might expect. It was Brian Harman playing with Max Homa, and it was Ricky Fowler playing with Colin Morikawa. A lot of people were thinking Homa and Morikawa. They played in the Zurich Classic together. California guys. Ricky's obviously a California guy as well. Brian Harman is, little and also not really sure exactly where he would fit in particularly. And they had him with Max Homa. So a little bit interesting there. And then we had Scotty and Sam Burns together. Everybody knew that one. But Brooks Koepka and Wyndham Clark, which I will say kind of got me going a little bit.
I like that one.
That got a little tickle. Both kind of like got an edge to them. Both probably unlikable in some of the things that they've said recently to a lot of the Europeans and a lot of people in golf in general. Both probably seem like they don't really give a flying fuck, have been able to get it done in major championships. So I got a little tingle when I heard about that last one.
That's a good one. I think that one's got some real potential. I don't know what the stats say. I don't know what all that says, but though you're right, those personalities seem to mesh well. That one I really like. The Harman, Ricky, Homa, Morik, that thing's a little bit of a mess. I don't know what we're gonna do with that. hopefully Zach and them figure it out. But boy, Wyndham Clark and Brooks Koepka, that could be a force to be reckoned with right there.
It does sound
that.
very American. It's a power American duo.
Yeah.
Brooks Koepka and Wyndham Clark. Those are two American golfers.
A lot of hard consonants there. Wyndham is, I think if there's one guy other than Brooks, I think Brooks might take a little heat this week because of the live stuff. He's just being the only live golfer there. But I think if there's one guy that the Europeans are going to try to make into the villain, so to speak, it's Wyndham Clark. He made that comment about he kind of got backed into a corner. The guy asked him, like, would you want to play Rory McIlroy in singles? And he was like, yeah, Rory's a great player. I think I'm better. I would like to have the opportunity to beat him. That got all the press in Europe. Wyndham Clark says he's better than Rory McIlroy. And then today in the press conference, he was talking about it, and he clarified, and he said, Rory's a great player, blah, blah, blah. But then he was asked a question about not playing because the Americans, most of them haven't played since the Tour Championship, whereas the Europeans, they all played. Literally all 12 of them played 2 weeks ago. And he goes, yeah, I really enjoyed my time off. I think I'm going to be fresh this week. Sorry, plane's going overhead. He goes, I'm going to be fresh this week. And the Europeans, it's great that they've been able to play their way into shape, but it's a mentally taxing week and a hot weather and a difficult golf course to walk. They might be leaking oil on Sunday, and that's just enough. That's just enough for the European chairman to be like, this motherfucker thinks he's better than Rory McIlroy, and he thinks that we don't have the gas for Sunday. Like, you better believe that Wyndham Clark's name is being thrown around in the European team room.
So there's another comments about this both these comments from Wyndham Clark, and then the Brooks Koepka comments on Pardon My Take, where he was asked how many majors does he think he could win, and he said 12, and then he was talking about getting to Tiger. I hate when media freak out about these kinds of comments because contextually, why the fuck wouldn't those guys say that or believe that? Like, how can Wyndham Clark win a singles match or win a U.S. Open by outlasting Rory McIlroy without believing that he can beat Rory McIlroy, without believing in his heart that, like, he could play better than Rory McIlroy? So when he's asked about that question and then answers it honestly, like, we all want these guys to answer shit honestly. We want them to be more of an open book and candid. And then when they are, they get fucking roasted. Now, I understand in the team event scenario, you're going to use it as bulletin board material, and Europe should, and it's going to galvanize people. I think Wyndham Clark's the kind of guy, like, he was the last guy on the leaderboard out of the top 20 that anybody wanted to win at that U.S. Open. It was Ricky, it was Rory, and Wyndham Clark got it done. I think he can thrive in those environments, but I feel bad for these guys a little bit when they answer questions honestly and then everybody drags them through the mud in the media for like a week. I think that's fucking dog shit.
Well, it's also a question of what was the actual question that was asked to Wyndham Clark, and I don't know the answer right now, but it's like, was the question, is there anybody you want to face at this Ryder Cup that you think you could be good against? Or is the question, do you think you're better than Rory McIlroy? Like, him freestyling an open-ended question and saying, I want Rory, I think I'm better than him, I think I can beat him. That's different than being asked, do you think you could beat Rory in a match? And he says yes, and then they run with it. There's a big difference there.
I think the question was like, would you like to play Rory? Which it puts him in a really tough spot, because if he says no, then he's a pussy. And if he says yes, then he's... But yeah, Riggs, what you're saying about the media hammering people, you could see it. There were a bunch of guys who were so careful with their words. Like Jordan Spieth said something about... There was a question about how, they cheer against you at the Ryder Cup. And he's like, no, they're not, they're not cheering against us. They're cheering for the other team. And I just want to make that clear. And then there was Xander Schauffele. They were asking him, like, does Patrick Cantlay tell any jokes? And Xander's like, yeah, actually, Patrick's a really funny guy. He was saying a lot of jokes recently at lunch. And they said, what are the jokes? And he said, like, I can't tell you because it's 2023 and I can't say anything. So, yeah, I get it. It stinks, and we're on the side of we want them to be more honest. But from their side, if you're advising them, I would just say, like, don't say shit. Like, you can believe it all you want, but just don't say it unless you get fired up by this. But if you don't want to live in the mud, then just don't say anything. Be a complete robot, and that might actually work better if that's your personality. That might be better for your actual golf.
Yeah, I can't decide what I want. Like, I almost wish. Like, I want them to be honest, but I also want there to be like a little bit of a pro wrestling thing with the Ryder Cup where it's like, talk some shit. It's at the end of the day, it's not going to feel like this. It's an exhibition. So it's like, it matters. It doesn't matter. Wherever you land on that almost doesn't matter. But like, I wish this were the 1 week every 2 years where guys were like, no, I want that guy. I want this guy. I want that guy. Maybe some bad blood comes out of that, but I also don't want it to be fake. So I guess guys are just going to be careful because in this day and age, things will get pulled out and they'll get fucking drug over the coals for a week. I don't know what I want, but I want there to be more bad blood, but I also want it to be real.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate Scotty Scheffler to be like, you know what? Like, Europeans are soft. We've had to bail them out of world wars fucking twice. We fly over here, we save the day, sacrifice millions of our own people. So we're going to make a fucking statement this week and we're going to stomp all over these soft fucking pussies. Like, yeah, in a pro wrestling scenario, that would be absolutely great. And Scotty might be saying that on the group text, which would absolutely be great. But you're right, Dan. It's like in today's day and age with how prevalent media is everywhere and everybody has to fill their social media channels, ourselves included, unless Social Rob's having fucking breakfast, then we get like an hour off. But otherwise, you got all fucking day to fill all media, TV, YouTube videos, your TikTok channel, your Instagram channel. So this Wyndham Clark thing was like this quote was going around for a week. It was everywhere. I saw it. People were making the giant cards with Wyndham versus Rory and the whole deal because they got nothing else to really talk about, which is kind of what you're trying to do, I guess, as one of the players out there. And dude, I like going back to the President's Cup when we were there. I mean, there was hostility going into that President's Cup in Melbourne. Like fucking Cam Smith had basically been like, yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Patrick Reed is a cheater. I can't believe they have him up. They want that guy on their team. And it led to Patrick Reed's caddy, Kessler Crane, a friend of the program, punching a fan in the face and getting kicked out of the goddamn tournament. And like, then I was reliving 2018 when they went to Paris, and there were the interviews when they went to Paris. Those first couple of days were not like, what kind of wine are you fucking drinking in Rome? Like, it was like, did somebody actually fight? Did Brooks Koepka fight somebody on the plane on the way over here or whatever? Like the questions were crazy. All the hype was nuts that the U.S. fucking hated each other. And to the point where when they left, Patrick Reed's like wife called the New York Times and said that like Jordan Spieth's a pussy for not wanting to play with him. You're like, holy shit. And now going into it, it's like everybody's been so protected almost that you're like, that's the biggest quote that we got, that Wyndham Clark was like, yeah, I think I could play better than Rory. I'd like to play him. And you kind of, you want some juice. You want these guys to hate each other. You want them to despise each other.
It really is an argument for Patrick Reed to be in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah,
you need a guy like that who is
I miss
just
him. I miss him big time this week.
Cannon. Like Brooks Koepka in that way is Patrick Reed light, like really watered down. It's not as brash and as confrontational. Patrick Reed, first of all, he lives in his own world. So when he enters this world, he'll just act in a way that people can't believe. And you really need a guy like that. All these other guys are too polished, too professional, too trained. Like, that's great for them, and it doesn't create as many headlines or headaches for them. But you need a Patrick Reed to just be there, who his natural way of doing things pisses everybody off, even his own guys. And that's the best.
It's a melting pot of players, and you're just missing one ingredient right now, and that's a little bit of cayenne pepper. You know, we have a spicy list. No spice melting pot of players right now. Just bland. Just fucking vanilla yogurt. Just it's like I need a little bit of fucking kick. Throw a hot chip in there and it's over.
A great rule would be that each team should get the option to pick one of the other team's assistant captains. And Europe would 100% pick Justine Reed to just be one of the assistant captains for the United States team. And this thing would be cooking, man. We would have all kinds of hot action out there.
Fuck, that really does. That whole thing makes me miss Patrick Reed in a way that I haven't felt in years.
I know.
I miss him
this
problem. I miss him this week. I wish one of the older European guys who went to live and was like really mouthy on the way out. I wish they had a Brooks Koepka year and were like forced their way onto the team. Like we could, in addition to Patrick Reed, we could really use like a Lee Westwood this week, just being like, these guys are all fucking fake. Or Sergio Garcia being like, the DP World Tour doesn't respect me. The only guy who's like capable of doing it is Brooks. And I think because he's the only one, he doesn't want to like be that guy. But you're right. I miss the snarkiness. There's definitely less snarkiness.
Like, for example, Brooks did it a little bit today, or I don't know what the time, I don't know what day it is over there, but somebody asked him like, of all the guys of the 24 guys, if you were to ask them, who would want to be on the golf course with the Ryder Cup on the line, how many of them would actually want to be in that position? And he said very few. So that's like as controversial as it's going to get. But even with that, you're including all 24 guys. You're not saying like, who on Europe do you think is the biggest pussy? and like you wouldn't actually want to be out there, and he can say like a real answer. This is just a very bland, like, oh, I'm Brooks Koepka, I'm the big swinging dick here, and I would want the ball at the end of the game type of deal. But it's no one specific.
Need like a fight promoter to be part of the organization of this whole thing or something. So, somebody who knows how to stir the pot big time. Somebody
like
in
Logan
there
Paul, Dylan Dennis,
getting this thing going. Because also the last year and a half has really pushed all these guys that are now eligible and part of this on both sides onto the same team. Like they're all pretty much, with the exception of Brooks Koepka, who's even said like, yeah, if I was playing better a year and a half ago, I probably wouldn't even have gone to live. Like these guys have all been defending their own fucking wall together, basically, for the last year and a half. And now they're like, well, yeah, we play golf together in Florida, and here we are. And the guys that are on the outside that would be stirring it up, the Patrick Reeds and the Sergios and the Westwoods, are not eligible to play. Which, looking back, and the fact that in 6 months or whenever this deal gets done, it's going to be preposterous that Henrik Stenson was stripped of being the captain, that like Sergio Garcia, the winningest player in the history of the Ryder Cup, was like not even a consideration, despite the fact that he was willing to pay $750,000 in fines or whatever it was because he wanted to be on the Ryder Cup team so badly. That like that's going to be looked at historically, I think, as pretty ridiculous that those guys were on it. But that is sort of that's leading to us lacking some of this fight promotion, some of this heat that we need early on, because it's just too cushy right now.
I feel like looking back on these last couple of years is going to be sort of how we look back on COVID, where we're like, we shouldn't have done that. Like that was an overreaction. We didn't have the, like, it's cringy to look back and think, like, when we talk about the noodles in the golf holes, it's like, I mean, what were we really doing there? It's like with the Ryder Cup ban, it's like, I mean, we were dealing with the facts we had at the time. It seemed reasonable at the time, but looking back on it, it's just not going to age very well.
I love the noodles. I think we should bring them back.
You like the noodles?
I couldn't miss a birdie putt. I was firing those things from all edges of the green. I was just ripping off the noodles. I hate getting the ball in the hole. I can't do it. I can get the ball around the hole. I can knock it off the pin, no problem. I just can't get that thing to fall in. I love that. It's the worst part about not having COVID around anymore.
I did see Brooks also kind of took a shot at Bryson, if I was reading the quotes correctly, where I guess Bryson kind of complained that the live guys should have gotten more of a look and blah, blah, blah. And they asked Brooks about it, and he was like, just play better, and you would have been here. Like, I played great in the tournaments that people wanted us to play great in and that they were looking at. So Brooks still has he's taking shots at Americans now, but like he's still got it a little bit. But even Bryson involved in this he is so socially unaware of what's going on that he just makes conflict when he doesn't even realize what he's doing.
Both those guys. I mean, we did a whole 2 years on Bryson DeChambeau. Every show was about Bryson because he spritzing balls and fucking whatever the hell he's doing, hitting balls over nets and stuff. Still the logo. Yeah, true. Still our logo. It's funny. Looked like a year ago we needed to get rid of that. Now that might be back. I mean, Bryson, I don't know. It's come full circle. We were going to change it to Kisner, but we had to wait for some of our inventory to cycle out. And then Kisner forgot how to play golf. So now we're like back into the Bryson situation. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen to the logo. It might change at some point. If you're feeling dehydrated after a long day on the course or a long night, having a couple beverages, which you might be this weekend, especially with sleep shifts, football, Ryder Cup, everything going on, BioLite, baby. BioLite is IV in a bottle. That's what it is. You drink a BioLite, you get one of these things down. They're delicious. They got all kinds of good flavors nowadays. And within 30 minutes, you're going to feel like you got hooked up to an IV, like you went on this Vegas trip, like Alex Bush just did for his bachelor party, which I want to hear about at some point. And you got hooked up to an IV. That's what BioLite is. It's IV in a bottle.
Yeah, I'm really trying to hydrate myself, getting ready for a long trip in Italy, trying to stay healthy, trying to make sure that my body is not breaking down, that I'm not going to catch any sort of cold or anything. And part of that is being hydrated. Your body has to be hydrated to be running. It's your fuel for your body. It's like you need it. You need to be hydrated. You need water. You need this BioLite. And it really is, for me, it's like a fail-safe way of knowing I will be hydrated at the end of the day. I don't drink enough water bottles. I don't drink enough glasses of water. I don't drink enough sports drinks. At the end of the day, I have the BioLite in my refrigerator. I drink it, and I'm like, wow, that just got me back to where I needed to be. And you can feel it immediately. It goes right through you. I love it. I love the taste of it too. I love it.
Huge for golf trips, huge for any morning. It's massive. It should be the first thing in the morning or before you go to sleep. If you're having a couple beverages, it will just get you right back to where you need to be, feeling good. BioLite, when water is not enough, for a limited time, use the code MELON, MELON, almost said zero, MELON, to get 15% off your next order of BioLite at drinkbiolite.com. Use the code MELON. Dan, I didn't realize the one guy that they picked on Europe is ranked like 82nd in the world or something like that.
Yeah, Nicolai Højgaard. Is that who you're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 22 years old Dane. He's got his twin brother Rasmus, who has 4 wins on the European Tour. Nicolai only has 2, but Nicolai's more consistent. Luke Donald likes him a lot. A lot of people expected Adrian Meronk to be the pick. He'd won here, won 3 big national opens in the last year, but Luke Donald really wanted Højgaard. He hits it a really long way. I think that might be part of the reason why. But yeah, Højgaard and then Bob MacIntyre. MacIntyre, I don't know if he's ranked in the world, but the advanced stats say that he's like the worst player by far. So those two, I think, will probably get one
looks like me.
match.
That's Scottish
before-
Frankie, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you look more JT than Bobby Mack.
Oh, I disagree.
I don't
Lefty,
know, man.
and
Lefty, just doughy, pale.
he was like Frankie 16 months
Pale.
ago.
Dude, pale.
Yeah, he is
Super
very
pale.
pale. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be very surprised if they played more than one team match. And I think it's possible if Europe gets down that Bob might not even play until singles. I think I've seen him on the range. He's struggling a lot. He's statistically the worst player here. I just don't think that Bob MacIntyre is going to be much of a factor this week.
Damn, dude. Yeah, he's a little bit more round than I am. We saw Shane Gillis last night, Trent and I, at Borelli's Tap Room in Long Beach. Just a fantastic spot.
That was
Shane
surreal
Gillis,
when I saw that come across my Instagram feed. I know we had talked about it before, but that was surreal.
Place was absolutely jammed for 2 shows. Shane Gillis is just a phenomenal comedian. But in between the shows, we kind of went upstairs and talked to him and hung out with him. And he's like, we were all just talking about something. We had Feidelberg there and his buddy, and we're all in our little circle. And he's kind of talking to someone over in the other corner. And he just kind of interrupts us and just goes, Frankie, it really sucks that every time you have a bloated, fat face photo, I have to get tagged in it. And people are like, dude, you look like Shane Gillis right now. It's just like,
You look like the fatter version.
at my worst part, like when people are trying to roast me, their dig at me is like, dude, you look like Shane Gillis, right? He's like, that sucks. He's like, that sucks for me. But
he's
yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, he was incredible. But yeah, that made me think
He was
of Robbie
he was getting in
McIntyre.
my ear about, he's like, you got to go to Rome. He was like getting in my ear about going.
Yeah,
'Cause-
he's
'cause
like,
he-
it's not that long of a flight. He's like, Rome's like not that expensive to go to. It's like going to LA. Like, just fucking go. And we're just like, yeah, we should be going. He's like, just go to Rome like tomorrow. He's like, what's stopping you? We're like, you're making good points.
He is incredible though. He just put out an hour, Beautiful Dogs on Netflix, and he's got a newish or stuff that he's doing. I don't know how new it is or whatever, but he was just like, he's doing another 40 minutes and the place was on fire.
Yeah, that's like why those big guys go to these little rooms, like a Borelli's Tap Room, which is now becoming the premier comedy club of Long Island. Like,
It's unreal.
The names
Good
that
for
have
you,
come through
man.
that place.
That's
in
really
the first 6 months have just been insane. Colin Quinn, Dan Soder, fucking Shane Gillis, nuts. Matt Rife, and yeah. So he was like, it felt like he was uncomfortable in the beginning. It's weird to see a Shane Gillis type guy uncomfortable up there because he's like, I'm battling through these new jokes. And I was talking to someone last night about it at the bar, and I was like, yeah, it is tough for them because it's not like they're musicians where everyone pays a ticket to go see their favorite musician and they just play the hits and you know you're going to get a couple of good songs. Like for a comedian, you just watched his special and now you have to go see him. You're spending a bunch of money to go see him and he has to give you new jokes.
It's actually the opposite. Yeah. It's like
the
they
exact
want
opposite.
the new stuff.
Right. And that's a hard spot to be in. Like you have to live up to that potential of why they bought the ticket, even with new stuff. And it's like a never ending chase of like, I'm going to entertain you. And he fucking nailed it. Like he's basically reading off like his palm of like new jokes. And he's like, I'm going to fucking light this room on fire with laughter. But yeah, Robbie McIntyre, fat version of me.
Yeah, the Rome thing, in terms of us not going, that was probably the number one question we got. I feel like the last couple months at the Barstool Classic, you guys going over to Rome? You going to Rome? Those tournaments in general, majors, especially Ryder Cup, we end up just watching in the media center anyways. And in the media center, I feel like you're not on a couch. You don't really have like your environment. You don't have the sound on because they can't have the sound on the giant screen in the media center. So it's like you fly all the way over there to watch it on a screen. And the reason you do that is because there's so many people around 4 groups. There's only 4 groups on the golf course. So there's so many people around 4 groups. You don't have really any service because there's so many people. We've all been in stadiums and events like that. And so it's like a worse experience for us to tweet, post stuff on social, Instagram, do podcasts where we capture everything because you're only watching one group at a time. So we were kind of like, if we're going to fly all 4 of us, plus a couple producers, 6, 7, 8 people over to Rome, put them up for a whole week, it's going to cost us tens of thousands of dollars, and we're just watching it on a screen anyway. So we kind of were like, we'll send Dan to do his journalism thing. Frankie's going over for his honeymoon anyways. But otherwise, it's like, I think we get more out of it just watching at home than we do going over there. Now, if I was in a Feidelberg situation, that would be fucking great. Or like the Thursday of the Masters this year where I just gave my Twitter account to our boy Kyle Timms. It was like, don't get me canceled. Went in and watched the Masters all day with my buddies. Like that's like a dream. But when you're trying to actually like digest what happens and react to it and then be able to talk about it on the podcast on Sunday, it's really fucking hard when you're there to witness the entire Ryder Cup.
Dude, I remember watching Team USA dog walk Team Europe at Whistling Straits in the media center with Frankie, and we started designing the Slaughter by the Water shirts, and we're selling those, and we're reacting to all that. If you're out on the course, you have zero service. There's nothing you can do. So you're pretty much just a spectator. And that's in our position, that's something you kind of can't be if you want to cover it in the way that we do. If we want to put out that merch, if you want to sell it, if you want to put like, yeah, it would be great to be there. But I agree with what you're saying, where we're just in a position where you got to cover it and you got to react to things and selling merch. If you miss the window, you miss it and it's gone and it doesn't matter. Or you sell hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. So like I'd love to be there. I'd love to be there to watch it, but it's going to be better for our job position where we're just watching it on the couch for sure. It's always been that way. Always.
Well, I think we have both things covered now. You know, with me being here, I can like sort of do that and send stuff because, like, you know, the videos that I do from the media center, like, I do think there's a certain like gravitas to being here. Like, they definitely do better than if I was just like in my apartment. But you're 100% right, and I think that's like honestly most sport. I mean, golf especially because of how big it is. But TV coverage has just gotten so amazing that. You don't even hear more when you're here. You know what I mean? They got these boom mics that they hold over the players and their caddies, and like you might miss that if you're. So I have these very vivid memories of being at the Masters and coming back and logging in to my computer because there you can't bring your phone at all and being like, so what happened? And you have to catch up. So I 100% understand why you guys don't like see the value in it.
Yeah, and like when you're scrolling through Twitter, when you've been out of the course with no service. And like 30 minutes ago, you missed all of Twitter talking about this crazy comment that like Paul Azinger made, and you have no idea what that is or what that was even about. You weren't on that hole at the time. You don't even know the incident. You don't even know what he said, and you miss all of it. And you know, it's really cool to be there, and it's really cool to have inside the ropes and shit. But like, you just fucking end up missing it. It's like, unfortunately. Our job's unbelievable, but we also need to be covering it, like Trent said, and like getting the merchandise up, promoting it, coming up with different designs, responding to shit, whatever. We just need to be able to do that, and we can't really do that when we're there. So Big Cat
watched the Cubs win the World Series from Barstool HQ. He could have been behind home plate if he wanted to be
in his scooter. He was in that scooter watching fucking the cut. That's right. I was there for that. Oh man, yeah. I actually watched the Blues win the Stanley Cup from Pebble Beach.
I was there. You jumped in the pool.
Yeah, jumped in the pool. That was the 2 days after we met Tiger Woods and had our first like real group video with Tiger Woods where he froze Trent's brain. Frankie waved at him, and I hit him on the arm.
It was a great video.
Yeah, I hit him on the arm. But yeah, that's just what it is. That's the gig. So yeah, that's why we're not really going to be there. Okay. Ryder Cup, we got some crazy shit happening in the Ryder Cup. This is Thursday. Video came out on Wednesday, which was the last match of the 2-versus-2 matches. You know, if you haven't watched the whole thing yet, spoiler, turn it off for a couple minutes or fast forward through this podcast. But Probably the most heated match I've ever been a part of. A lot of moving parts between us, Big Cat, Dave, Frankie, me, Frankie, or not Big Cat. Well, Big Cat ended up being there at the end, but Kirk's relationship to obviously like the entire Ryder Cup as a whole after what happened in the first video, getting into it with Dave, it coming down to the wire, us really needing to like gut out sort of half a point to still be eligible to even winning the entire thing. Fucking nuts match, as emotional and crazy and heated, I would say, as any golf match I've ever been a part of. And now the Ryder Cup is all coming down to one 3-on-3 match that's coming out Thursday, today, when you're listening to this, that will decide the entire thing.
Yeah, super heated. I mean, just a big one for me. Like just with Dave, like facing Dave in a challenge, obviously added a ton of heat on me, and I was super nervous about it. Alternate shot, just the whole deal. It was very scary. It was a very scary day. Again, couldn't make putts. It just felt like we were playing really well. We just couldn't fucking get that ball to go in that hole. It's just a problem I had down there in North Carolina. But yeah, it was quite the event. I mean, you're just gonna have to go watch it if you haven't seen it yet. But just a lot of hot heads, and like there were moments where like I kind of let loose. Like when Dave hit that ball in the water, I went fucking crazy because like, and I've never ever expressed any sort of excitement or anti anything toward Dave, and it felt like after I did it, I went to Kirk. I was like, that was fucked up. Like I shouldn't get excited when he messes up. Like I shouldn't. That was fucked.
I've never felt like more of like a straight man or a suit than that week. I remember I would get home to my room and I'd be like, I just like cannot believe this circus that I have entered.
Right, bro, it was wild.
Kirk, Frankie, Riggs, Dave. That's 4 guys who are at any time could just go crazy. Like, no offense to you guys, but that's true. Like at any point, you guys are all a stick of dynamite with a wick this long, and you guys are all playing in a match together. The other side of it, the last match before that, me, Arian, PFT, and Big Cat, that was a stroll in the park. Me and Arian just washed them, and it was never a problem, never a big thing. But I remember your match was in front of us or behind us, and there was a lot of screaming going on.
So much screaming.
Insane. And I could... There, like Frankie, you have different shades of red that your face will get, and I can kind of judge. Like if you're looking at like an alert, like you'll see like, oh, where's Frankie at on the terrorism scale? You were as red as you could possibly be, and I was like,
when we lost that golf ball, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah,
because it wasn't that bad of a drive. I still don't understand what happened. Like it was the emptiest tree-lined area of all time. Like in that Pinehurst area, you shouldn't lose golf balls. It's all pine straw. I still to this day have no idea how we didn't find the ball. We had 1,000 people looking for it. Me and Kirk are looking at each other. We knew that we had basically lost the match at that point. We're like, it's over. Like we crumbled. I had that horrific putt the hole before. Like I basically sent it all the way down the fucking green. I misread being on top of a hill. I fucking thought it was uphill. It was completely downhill. And then now the next hole I lose a drive, and Dave's like, oh, this guy's the golf guy. Like that to me was just too much to handle. You know, like you saw what happened to me. You saw what happened to me on the 9th hole of day 1, where I was striping the golf ball against you guys. And then Dave shows up on hole 9, and I popped up a hybrid 130 yards, which I haven't done in 5 years. I had a full round of that. Not being on the other team of Dave Portnoy in my position was a tough day. So I can't wait to see how mean people are in the comments about my play that day, but it was as tough of a day. That was a heavy cross to bear for your boy. That was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, that was 4 just crazy people going at it, and it didn't take long for it to get pretty fucking nuts.
Kirk hit some big putts. He's an electric factory, man.
He is. And then the fact that all the other matches were over. So then for the last couple holes, it was like this heated, absolute dynamite sticks of a match with everyone else around, and it mattered so much. It was fucking heated. So if you haven't watched that yet, go check it out. And then, there's a huge match left that decides the entire thing.
Today, 2 p.m., $30,000 on the line, 3v3 scramble. It's as big as it gets. You just have to watch it. It's a fantastic round of golf.
And a big decision was made for our, our personnel in terms of, I think we were kind of between Trent and Francis, and Francis by the handicap system is better than Trent, but we were very much considering the fact that Kirk Minahan had melted Francis Ellis into a puddle of himself. And once again, I mean, it comes down to a really tight match to decide the entire thing. So people got to watch that video. Comes out today, 2 p.m. on the Barstool YouTube channel. So yeah, Ryder Cup was a smashing success, I would
just
say.
a smashing success. Obviously, we're going to do it again, and it's going to be it was really fun. Like even just being there, being a part of it, being on a different on Dave's team and a couple of guys were on Big Cat's team. Like it was just fun. It was a really, really good time.
If your mouth craves a little more Ryder Cup content, if you're yearning for more of that Ryder Cup juice, I've got news for you. October 2nd, Monday. This is now Alex and Brendan might tell me to go fuck off, but this is what it says on our schedule. Monday, October 2nd, Dave versus Jerry.
That's right.
Foreplay YouTube. $10,000 bet. We're sitting at dinner. Jersey Jerry goes to Dave and goes,
great.
I bet I could beat you in 9-hole match. $10,000 I put up. And he talks just like that. He talks in broken in words. And Dave goes, deal, done. $10,000 cash bet. That's got juice. So if you want more, you just watched the Ryder Cup end. You've been watching it for 2 straight weeks, 8 episodes. All our guys were editing the shit out of it. They have one more for you. It's coming out on Monday, October 2nd. What a way to end the Ryder Cup to then now watch another competitive match the next day. Amazing, amazing video of Jerry versus Dave, something that's been hyped up for months. We were going to put it out 2 months ago. And Dave's like, why don't you just wait until after the Ryder Cup? Everyone will kind of get like the feeling of what the matches were at, where all the fucking bad blood was. Yes, it's coming Monday.
Yeah. That's a heated one. $10,000. I mean, I don't think anything else needs to be stated. Playing for $10,000. Those two, a lot of shit talking, a couple lunatics as well. So a lot of lunatics in this thing, which is great. And churns out good content. With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. We speak a lot on this very podcast about how some horrible dietary commitments by us can lead to just horrible experiences, especially for Frank Borelli, especially for me this week. You don't have time a lot of time. You don't have the expertise to whip up a good meal. You got to go shop, put it all together, the whole deal. Factor is going to make it incredibly easy for you. Adjust your stride this autumn without missing a step. Choose from 34 plus weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never frozen meals ready to eat in just 2 minutes. This stuff's life-changing.
I'm going to need it. I'm a big health guy now, and I want to make sure that I'm eating the good stuff. I don't want to have to keep getting fast food and all these horrific late night choices. I want to be able to have my refrigerator stocked and ready to go with healthy, never frozen meals. And this is something that I need right now in my life because, yeah, sometimes it gets away from you. You don't prep enough. You don't go grocery shopping. You don't know what you're doing. And you're like, what are my options? And they're always bad. And my refrigerator is always empty. It's like, I need something like this to just stock me up.
Always bad. Ready to go in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/450. That's 450. Use the code 450, and you're going to get 50% off. That's code 450 at factormeals.com/450 to get 50% off.
Danny Rapp, have you been seeing Zach Johnson out there? How's he looking? Is he looking composed? I've been seeing a lot of pictures of him in sunglasses, which gets me fired up. I just want to, what's his presence been like on site?
Yeah, he's he's talking a lot like there's a military operation that needs to happen. That seems to be the posture that they're taking. It's very serious. It's very there's not a lot of smiling or joking going around. which I think, I think Zach Johnson never expected to be in this position in his life, just given his golf journey growing up in Cedar Rapids, going to Drake, wasn't the best player even at Drake, which isn't a Power 5 school, turned pro, had to raise money just to have a chance. Did not hit the ball very far, never hit the ball very far, was just always an underdog. And I think he really, like, this position for Tiger when he had it at the President's Cup was like, yeah, I've done everything in golf. I think for Zach Johnson, this is kind of the cherry on top of a really a career that, he probably never expected. So I think he really takes this very seriously. I will say that Luke Donald is not an electric factory if we're going to talk about Kirk Minahan. So, he's really not given us much. I think everyone's just ready to rock. I really hope that Fitzy just does something, just one thing. I've tried to really tone down the Fitz stuff because I've been hammered for it online a lot. And we also just haven't seen each other that much. Just after he won, things got crazy. But we had dinner at Tour Championship, and
You
it was
sound
really
kind
great
of
to see
sad
him.
about it. You sound a little sad
I was
about it.
a little sad about it, but we had dinner at the Tour Championship, and it's been way better since. He's kind of back to being we've just been in better spirits a lot, and I worry about him this week just because of his history. If he loses that first match, I don't know how they can play him again in the afternoon. And so I'm really hoping that he gets a good partner, because you don't want to be the guy who has the 0-5-0 or 0-6-0 or 7-0 next to your name. Even the bad Ryder Cup records, there's 2 wins or 3 wins. Ricky, I think is 3-7-1. Matt is 0-5-0. So that's a little concerning.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. That's a horrible looking record. That's two goose eggs and just a really crooked number in the middle of it.
Good.
That makes you look like shit.
It's like when you start a franchise in a video game. I'll buy Madden and I'll start with the Jets, and you start 0-2, and Zach Wilson has 19 interceptions. You just restart it. You're I can't even look at that. I can't look at that record. I need something that looks way more aesthetically pleasing. What am I doing with a 0-win game? Why am I wasting my time here? And I can't even imagine that being attached to your career and you're a fucking professional golfer and you're seeing the Ryder Cup 0-5-0. That's just tough. Everyone loves good stats. You love looking at your name. You love looking it up. You love stats are just pleasing to look at. 0-5-0 is it's a shank to the neck.
I don't even remember him in Ryder Cups.
Dude, he the first one was he was 21. It was in Minnesota. He carried it about 260. And that golf course was huge, and there was no rough, and it wasn't set up for him. And he didn't play until Saturday afternoon, alternate shot. So he only played half a round going into singles. And then he got waxed by, drumroll please, Zach Johnson in singles. And then he missed the 2018 Ryder Cup. He got passed over. And then at Whistling Straits, he played only alternate shot again with Lee Westwood, and they lost both times. Lee Westwood really did not play well. And then he lost to Berger in heartbreaking fat. Remember, he fatted it into the water on the 18th hole. They were tied going to 18.
All right, that I do remember.
And Rory and Patty Harrington are talking to him, because if he lost, that would have been the worst deficit ever. And he literally hit a 60-yard chunk into the water.
I mean, I'm rooting against him, if we're being honest.
It'd be nice to see that just keep going, right? 08, whatever. It's
I want to see it.
I think
history.
that's right.
Nice guy, friend of the program, I think. I mean, but I'm rooting against him. I'm a Team USA guy, personally.
I can imagine, Dan, that his handling of Lee Westwood playing terrible with him was really smooth and positive, and that he didn't have any issues with Lee Westwood playing fucking awful on alternate shot.
Yeah, Matt might be the best person in the world at muttering really mean things under his breath. So he probably, yeah. But no,
Dude,
I'm really excited for it to start. I think I need official predictions from everybody. I've gone on record. I think Europe is going to win it 15-13. What do you guys think?
I will say, going in a couple weeks ago with all the momentum, Victor Hovland, the best player in the world, Ludwig as in theory one of their weaker links, just vaulting into kind of this spot where everybody loves him and thinks he's the greatest. I was feeling like Europe had a ton of momentum. When I heard that Luke Donald changed the order of the foursomes, when I heard that he was cutting down the grass after his team visited 2 weeks ago, they decided to give it a haircut, they're saying all over the live from set. USA is going to win this thing. I hated that out of Luke Donald. I think They haven't fucking lost in 30 years in Europe. They've got, 3 of the top 4 ranked players in the world. I think they just kind of needed to stick to what they've done. And the fact that they were changing shit and that the team, I think USA is just going to get it done. I fucking love that pairing of Brooks Koepka and Wyndham Clark. I think JT and Spieth are just going to be absolute warriors out there per usual. I think it's going to be close. I said that at the top of the week. I think it's going to be one of the closer Ryder Cups we've seen in the last decade or so. But I think USA, coming off that fucking 2 years ago, just curb stomping that they gave them. I think this team's got so many fresh new guys in there that a lot of that old scar tissue and all that bullshit's gone. So yeah, I think USA's taking it down by like 2 points. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'm taking Team USA. I'm going to say 16-12. I think the big story coming out of this week, or one of the big stories, is Aberg is not going to have as good as a week as people think. And it might even like go towards the negative, where it's like, this was the guy coming in, new hot shot, paired him up with Rory or whoever, and he just shits the bed. He's just not used to it, hasn't played in any big event that would prepare him for something like this, and he's got all the hype going into it. That feels like, it's like, oh my God, this is the guy who's going to like be the spark plug for this team, and I think it's going to fall flat, and I think Team USA is going to win, not in decided fashion, but 16-12, that feels like a right number to me. So that's my prediction for the Ryder Cup.
I think it's going to be really, really good golf. I don't think anyone is going to stand out that they were the weak link. I think that's going to be my hot take. I think everyone's going to play relatively fantastic golf. I think everyone's going to step up to the occasion. I think Aberg, I just can't say his name. Ludwig Aberg. I try and put a little bit too much church on it, but
yeah, I kind of church it too. Aberg. Or is it Aberg?
I think it's
I don't
Aberg.
even remember what I said a minute ago.
Aberg.
All right.
I think these guys are all just going to shine. I something about this, maybe it's just the Rome, maybe it's the Coliseum getting in my head, but I think everyone's going to kind of shine. Obviously, someone's going to have to like draw the short stick there, but at the end of the day, I think it's USA is going to barely pull one out. I think they're going to barely pull one out, half a point coming in at the end. It's going to come down to Sunday singles. You're going to see a lot of great golf, ton of birdies, like putt over putt. It's going to be all those huge fist bumps. I really think we're getting a great Ryder Cup. I think that we are craving one. I think golf needs one with the way that golf has been going the last couple of years, and all of these it's a powder keg. It's ready to explode. You got Liv, you got Brooks Koepka in the mix. Everyone feels like they shouldn't be there. Other guys feel like they should be there. You didn't even ask the Liv guys. These guys have something to prove. I really think this is going to be just fucking fireworks, man. I think it's going to be incredible. I don't see like guys winning holes because someone chunked one in the water. I see like someone fucking made an eagle from off the green and they beat a birdie. Like, I think it's going to be really fantastic golf all fucking weekend long.
And I think the golf course is going to shine, especially the last 3 holes. So 16 is a downhill drivable par 4. Djokovic drove it on the green today from the up tee, but it's like 300 yards downhill. Everyone will get there. 17 is just like 150-yard little par 3. That's kind of a Biarritz. So you're going to have some cool pins like in the front, in the back, and in the middle. And then 18 is a reachable par 5. So I think it's going to be like if the matches get down to the end, it's going to be awesome. And then the one thing did you guys see Freddie Couples again just like spilling the beans and talking when he shouldn't have?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he made some headlines like 2 months ago. He was like on Sirius XM radio or something, and he's like, "Yeah, Cam Young will be in Italy. I don't think that's really surprising anyone." And it was like, "Whoa, I mean, that is a surprise." And then Cam Young didn't make the team, and then he was doing a walk and talk with John Wood on Golf Channel, and he goes, "Yeah, I think Cantlay and Schauffele are going to play all 4 matches. Thomas and Spieth are going to play all 4 matches. I don't think that's spilling the beans. It's like that's literally spilling the beans." And I think he's just a little bit too much of a wild card. They gave him 2 President's Cup captaincies, but he never got the Ryder Cup captaincy. And I think maybe that might be a reason why.
You think he's just doing that? Like, he doesn't know anything more than anybody else knows, and he's just saying stuff, being like, I'll throw him off the scent, kind of?
I have no idea. I think he just is like so happy-go-lucky. That guy's lived such a cool life. I think he's like, just talk. Who cares?
I would be smart to have Freddie Couples run interference and just be like, yeah, these are our lineups. We made them last night. We wrote them on a whiteboard, and this is what it's going to be. So Luke Donald, the ball's in your court.
Yeah, he just pulls out a piece of paper and he's like, all right, so we're going to go, let's see, Friday morning. And he just starts listing exactly what they're going to be. And he's just wrong. It doesn't, there's just no basis for it whatsoever. I mean, that's Freddie. He's chill.
I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want a 14-14 retention. I really, because then we got to do a whole week of like, ties are the worst, and they should just do like a 9-hole playoff. Like, I don't want to go through the cycle of everyone being pissed off that a tie wins a tournament. So let's at least get 14.5 points, Team USA. Like, I just don't want to have the tie discussion again for the 15,000th time.
I don't want to either. I saw even like this today, a bunch of quotes coming. Guys were asked about it on the Ryder Cup teams. Rory was asked about it, and he was talking about how he went on about how it's pretty stupid. And then he was like reminded that they celebrated hard when they tied at Medina. I mean, they ended up winning by a point or something, but when they got that 14th point to retain it, that they celebrated hard. And he was like, "Oh yeah, all right, that's fair." So it reminds me of boxing. It's like if you in order to take the title from someone, you have to fucking defeat the heavyweight champ. Like you gotta defeat them. You don't just.
It's going to be weird. And the Solheim Cup just went through this, but if you win a 14-14 and you retain the cup, celebrating, you feel like you got to celebrate it like a 7 or 8 instead of a 10. It just doesn't feel as like
it's handshakes and daps. It's not champagne.
Right. But I do think they'll go nuts if they'll
go crazy.
Right. So then you got to have that where it's like people are like, these guys are going crazy, and they won, but they didn't win.
The weird part about that would be in 4 years, they would still be saying the U.S. hasn't won the Ryder Cup in Europe since 1993. Like
right.
that, that would be like, oh, yeah, we tied it one year, but like,
right.
Still haven't fucking won.
So let's just.
I might bet on a tie. I
you son of a
because
bitch.
I just what you guys do. I think it's gonna be really close. I just think and I think there's probably value there.
I think it will be really close. When we were at the Ryder Cup and you look up there and you see that huge, amazing scoreboard and the leaderboard, and you just see like red or blue and it says tied or up 3 through 4. I think you're going to see, Dan, when you're in there, you're going to see a bunch of just tied and just like all squares. What do they call it now? They don't call it all square, right? They don't say
tie.
AS anymore.
Tie is
tie.
the official vernacular.
So fucking dumb. Give me all square, man.
You're going to see a bunch of tie through like 7 through 8. It's going to be tight, man. I can't pick like one pairing over another right now when you go through the list.
I know.
I think no one sticks out that like that's a dominating pairing. They're going to fucking dominate the other guys. You can't. You go through the list right now. It's hard.
Yeah, I think Europe is going to split up their big boys. I can't see like Hovland, McIlroy, or Rahm playing with one another. It'll just be interesting to see if they they have this core of 8 or 9 guys. Call it 9. Do they just not play the other 3 until singles? Like that's, I mean, it's hot, and you want to say it's all 12, but you got to play your boys, especially if you're down.
Brandel did a great dissertation yesterday on Live from going through Seve and Seve's career in the Ryder Cup, and how Seve, people in the Ryder Cup want to inherently get paired with other really good players in the Ryder Cup for obvious reasons. You want your record to be good. You want to feel more comfortable out there, whatever. And how Seve would pretty much pick his partners, and then he picked like the biggest like no-name rookie basically every year to play with, and how those rookies and those guys, or even if they weren't necessarily rookies, they were like farther down the list in terms of some of the weaker players in the Ryder Cup, picked him as his partner, and those guys all went on to have winning or top records that Ryder Cup like every year, because his theory was, I don't give a fuck who you put me with. I'm going to make this player one of the best players in the world, bring him under his wing. They'd go out, they'd get momentum, they'd feel good in the Ryder Cup, and they would start getting wins. And like, that's a tough decision to make as a captain of like, do you just kind of bury these the low 3 guys on your team and like risk that they're cold and uncomfortable and nervous come Saturday or Sunday when they haven't played yet? Or do you fucking throw them out there Friday morning and be like, win or lose, I want the cobwebs out. I want you to know what it's like. And there's a chance that you gain a bunch of momentum. And then this whole next 4 sessions, like, you're ready to rock. It's a very tricky decision, I feel like, for these guys to make.
Yeah, I do feel like he might play MacIntyre and Højgaard together, because it's almost like a sacrificial lamb. And it's like, listen, if we get anything from this match, like, it's a huge bonus. That's what I would do.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. No,
I hate that.
What?
Sacrificial.
You know what? If you're going to play
move?
them once, you play them in Saturday afternoon 4 ball, where they can both play their own ball, so they can both get like a rep in before singles, but put them together so there's no expectation on that team.
You're gonna serve them up like you guys served up PFT and Big Cat to me and Arian.
But the teams are equal enough to not throw out a sacrificial lamb. Like if you're Europe, you're not like, oh, let's just like chalk this one up as an L. That's crazy. They have just as good of a team as US.
Well, then you got to not play those guys or play them like, like there is a huge drop off. There's a big drop off after 10, certainly.
But like what I just described with Sevi, I can't imagine like they like why can't Luke Donald do something like that? Why can't he put fucking Bobby Mack and like Rory out there fucking Friday morning? Like, let's go. Like, let's get this guy in here. Even
what happens if
worst,
Bobby hits it
with our guy and we can fucking win? Then but then he might like slightly. Like that's way better in my opinion than just giving away a match on Saturday afternoon when like the whole momentum of the whole Ryder Cup is in the balance. It's like you brought these guys over here. This is your team. You either trust them or you don't.
This is where being a captain is important because you got to manage these personalities. And if you put Højgaard and MacIntyre in a group, you almost got to tell them like, listen, nobody thinks you're going to win this. Like you got to have a chip on your shoulder going into that match if you're going to do it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say you're the sacrificial lamb. I would definitely like tell them to their face that I believe they can win, but that would be the strategy.
Listen, you guys are plus 6,000 to win this match. So I don't, nobody thinks you're going to win it. Like that's where you have to know. I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in that group chat. But if those guys have that attitude where I know this is going to light a fire under them, then I'm going to do that. But outside of that, I'm with the other guys. I don't think you should do a sacrificial lamb in a pretty even Ryder Cup.
No, I don't think you can, man. I don't think you can do that. I like getting them in there on Friday, get them with the solid partner, give them a chance to get a bunch of momentum. And then if they do, like that kind of reinvigorates your whole, it almost flips the Ryder Cup where like right now everybody's thinking, all right, if this thing gets to like tie going into singles, US is going to win. US wins singles. If you go player by player through the lineup, it's pretty close, close. And then the last three guys or whatever, US has a big advantage versus if you get those bottom three guys on the European team, some momentum, you do kind of the Sevi thing, you get them under somebody's wing, they get a win, or even if they don't get a win, they get a really good match that they played where they were right in there. Like, I feel like it could kind of flip the balance a little bit and give you a shot. But again, we're not fucking Ryder Cup captains, so thank God. And it's also it's wild to think that the Ryder Cup captains are just like, they're not these long storied like coaches of golf teams. They're just fucking players who now for 2 years are expected to be fucking, Vince Lombardi. It's just like, dude, they're fucking crazy to think
peers.
About.
They're a peer of everyone that they're in the event with. It's not.
Yeah, my favorite was Jim Furyk after he like made a complete mess of the 2018, or they got killed. He almost won the Players the following year after he was the Ryder Cup captain. He finished second that year.
A little juice.
It's wild, dude. It's like, yeah. So it's like you do all of this, and it's like in the stats, and are you really like? Is all of this truly to win, or is it like, well, let's make sure he gets his, opportunity as captain, and like this guy should go over there and play. It's sort of this weird struggle that they have with the event of like, yeah, we do want everyone to have a great time and have it be a lovely event in Rome, or we just cutthroat and we're here strictly to just fucking win, and that's it. And it's a little weird. Best golf shoes in the game. It's not even close. This month, we are highlighting the Gallivanter from our friends at G4. I got a pair of mine right here. These are the ones with the skulls on them, Frankie.
Wow.
These are just class act. These are traditional. They're incredibly comfortable. These are my tournament shoes. These are my shoes I wear if I wear a nice pair of pants out there. I want to look clean. Maybe I'm getting around in at a top 100 private club in the country. This is what you want to show up in. The Gallivanters, they just meet that old traditional meets new age style comfort. They're as good as it gets.
Yeah, I can always judge if I'm wearing something cool based off of the reaction I get from some of the hockey guys I'll play with. They're very cool guys. They like to be in the know of what is trending in the golf accessory world or the merchandise world and what's in. And every time I wear a Gallivanter around them, the the reactions are always like, that is just pure class and so clean. It's the cleanest golf shoe that's on the market right now. It is so clean. It's perfectly made with leather, and it's also the type of shoe that, like, from the outside looking in, you'd be like, oh, that might not be as comfortable to wear. Nope, wrong. That bubble insert, it's the same as wearing like a sneaker, and they've got it inside this leather shoe. It's amazing, the technology that they have to make that shoe wearable on day one. It's wearable on day one. Find me another shoe that looks like that and feels like that, that's wearable on day one. You can't.
It says right here, classic style, and I think that's exactly right. It's just all class, a classic style. You can get 10% off by going to this link. It's g4.com/4 for 10% off of your first order. So go check them out right now. The Gallivanters from G4, they got a bunch of great styles on there. They're comfortable, they're classic, they're traditional, and yet they're new age with the comfort. They're amazing. So g4.com/4 for 10% off your first order.
I don't want to look too far ahead because, again, this one hasn't even started yet. We're all wearing the gear, been wearing it for 4 days. Who's going to be the captains of this Bethpage team?
Tiger
Who's going
Woods.
to be the captain of those teams?
I think it was supposed to be Phil before all this happened, given how his ties with New York.
I don't think it's going to be Phil. I mean, it could be.
I don't think it will be Phil. I think on the European side, do you go Justin Rose right after he's on this team, so it's hard to say. But of the assistant, I mean, I don't think Francesco Molinari will get one. If you can't put him against Tiger, you just simply cannot after what happened at Augusta. I'm trying to think of like who
you don't
is
think
even
they
in the
go
assistant
Tiger
captains.
Woods, Sergio Garcia? Tiger Woods, Sergio Garcia.
So if Sergio gets back in the mix, then I think Phil would be more likely to get it than Tiger, just because Phil's like can move and travel and do like everything that you need to do.
Why would Phil be more likely at Bethpage?
I'm saying if Sergio gets back in the mix for Bethpage, then bring Phil back in the mix.
But why would you pick Phil over Tiger Woods? Tiger Woods won the U.S. Open at Bethpage.
I just don't know if Tiger can like physically want to do, like, they have to do a lot of shit, like a lot of media. They got to fly all over the place. They got to do it. Like, I just don't know with his leg if he's going to be up for being a captain. It's like pretty.
I can't take this anymore with this guy. I mean, Tiger Woods is going to be able to walk around in 2025. Come on, man. He's going to be able to walk around. He's going to be able to take flights. The guy's not going to be in a fucking wheelchair.
It's not about whether he can. It's about whether he wants to do it.
Guy's going to win golf tournaments, man.
Right.
All right.
Right.
We don't have to talk about the 20. I just wanted to get everyone's early.
You guys going to win the Masters again. And we're talking about if he can show up to a meet and greet. What are we talking about?
This is, I shouldn't even brought it up. This is like talking about the NFL draft the day after the next draft after the draft. That's a great bobblehead. I just wanted to get everybody's feel on it to see where we were at. Let's stay focused on the 2023 Ryder Cup.
Look at this little number too. Look at this little.
You got multiple Tiger Woods bobbleheads, which I respect the fuck out of. What else?
This guy ain't fucking winning another Masters. Look at his leg, dude.
I don't know if that's to scale of what's actually going on, but what else is going on this week for the Ryder Cup? Anything else we got to talk about?
I'm starting to take Lactaid. Changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. I don't know if everyone knows about this. I think I said it 2 shows ago because I hadn't taken it yet. I swear to God, I think Lactaid has changed my life. You pop these 3 little pills in your gullet right before you eat ice cream. It's like nothing ever happened. Ever since I shit my pants, I've been searching for a solution because I don't want to live a long time with this like full barrel, can't fart. Every time I have some sort of, lactose, it feels like I'm going to fucking soil myself. I think I became lactose intolerant 2 weeks ago. Like, I think whatever it was that was in my body that was fighting off the lactose, I think I'm now intolerant of that. I think I've reached the limit. I know things happen, right? There's timelines of things. I think my body no longer can accept milk and dairy. I think I've hit the limit. Maybe eating pizza my entire life finally came back to fucking bite me in the ass. So now I have to carry around this little pill bottle, and it's called Lactaid. And I pop these 3 little pills in right before you eat. I had 14 scoops of ice cream the other day. I really tested the limits of this thing. I was walking around the house being like, I'm as solid as a rock. I didn't even burp, let alone
get this guy
fart.
some linen. Get this guy some white linen pants to wear around the house,
brother. I'm a fixed man. I don't know what the science is. I've tried to watch YouTube videos on it. I guess it whatever your body lacks to fight off lactose in your stomach, Lactaid is that component that sits in the stomach and waits for it. It literally like catches it as it goes into your stomach, and it fights off all those sugars and all the lactose that your body can't break down. And your body's like, this is great. We're breaking it down. We don't have to fucking ruin our intestines tonight. Now, will that put a hole in my stomach? Maybe, because now I'm taking it like crazy.
Well, I was saying to you last night, say goodbye to Skinny Frankie, because now he can just eat ice cream. Like that was the barrier to entry at that. You're like, well, if I eat this ice cream, I'm going to shit 30 seconds later. Yep. Now that this guy's stomach can take lactose, 400-pound Frankie Borelli coming down the pipe.
You're not going to believe how much gelato I eat in Italy. You're not going to believe it.
I love that just like having a steady, healthy diet is not even on the table. It's not even a consideration.
I had to go get an invention to help
treated the fact that you love to eat shitty food like you have cancer. And you're like, I have finally found a solution to cancer. It's amazing.
Yeah, but it's like you don't like for me, and I'm sure everyone, you don't realize how much dairy you eat, and it really wasn't.
It's everywhere.
It wasn't like it wasn't so present in my mind of like what was going on. Like I'd like go to the bathroom like after eating like a fucking cheesy meal, and like you don't even think about it. Like it's not ruining. I don't have the Lurch thing where like I'm coughing up loogies and I'm like my stomach hurts. I'm just like shitting like crazy. So I'm like, why is that happening? And then I couldn't even eat ice cream anymore. It wasn't like I couldn't eat ice cream. I couldn't drive home. I couldn't have cereal. Like I'm like, what's happening to me? And so now I have a solution if I want to do that stuff, and I'm excited about it. I'm real excited about it. It works.
Dude, I had basically the exact experience you described last night. I said I was getting fed up with all the Italian shit. Went to this nice Italian place around the corner. They have this lamb gnocchi that was off the charts, and we got that, and then this margarita pizza, and then I had to shit, no joke, 3 times. Went over for like a bonus glass of wine afterwards. Yep. Left the bar twice to go hit the restroom, and felt very embarrassed. And I'm like, you just can't eat all that stuff and expect. I'm 36 years old. Like I'm Adam Sandler in
Big Daddy,
where it's like you have one milkshake and your ass jiggles for a week. It's like, oh yeah, I fucking ate 7 slices of margarita pizza and lamb gnocchi, and then I had bathroom issues. Like, yeah, no shit, dude. It's like
you had lamb. So was it like lamb chopped on top of the pasta?
It was the guy
was filled.
No, it wasn't filled. It was mixed in with it. And then the guy was saying that they do something to it because sometimes lamb mixed with like pasta can be a little sticky or something. So they do something to it special that really blends it and mends it all together. And it was phenomenal. But when you're alternating like a margarita pizza slice with lamb gnocchi filled with more cheese, and then you're having a couple bottles of wine because it's the Rome Ryder Cup. It was a whole lot going on in my stomach. So
I think it's Dave's favorite pasta.
Really?
Gnocchi?
Yeah, there's a place in Boston that he had taken me to back in the day, and they had some sort of gnocchi, like a beef gnocchi type of dish, and I remember him like making me have it because it's like you have to really like gnocchi. It's got that soft consistency like a potato.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a potato. I mean, Trent, you would like it. It's like a potato.
No, I've had it. I like it.
It like melts in your mouth almost, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good.
It was delightful.
I'm not a fan of like the soft stuff though. I'm a crunch guy. I need a crunch, man. I need my rigatoni to be al dente. I need it to have a pop. I need a crunch. I'm not a big bite into it, and I like ice cream, but I need I like my steaks with a char on the outside. I like my pizza on the burnt side, on the crust. I can't have it like that soft. I need a crunch in almost everything I do. I love to eat popcorn at night. I need it to be poppy. I need it to be snappy. Are you guys big crunch guys, or do you like the consistency of biting into something soft, like a gnocchi?
Crunch guy. I like bacon. I want my bacon like burnt and crisp.
I like to chew on popcorn kernels is how much I like the crunch.
That's a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
See, I need them to be like half popped. The people that eat the actual kernel are, I mean, what are your teeth doing? Like my teeth,
they're probably not in good shape. I had to get a mouth guard. They told me it was grinding or brushing my teeth too aggressively. I was like, yeah, it definitely wasn't the zins or the chewing the kernels. It was definitely the teeth brushing.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting old sucks, man.
I like the contrast. Like when you get a nice breakfast plate and you got like scrambled eggs that are soft, but then you mix in like crispy hash browns and really crispy couple slices of bacon. Ooh.
I'm always searching for a crunch in almost every meal. I don't know what it is.
You're not an oatmeal guy? You don't like oatmeal?
No, I'm always searching for that crunch.
Jello?
I like Jello, but like I'm always searching for that crunch. I don't know what it is, man. It's always in the back of my mind. Like I hope this has a little snap to it.
To go back to the Tiger Woods Ryder Cup thing. I'm looking at the future venues: 2025 Bethpage, 2027 Adair Manor in Ireland, 2029 Hazeltine, and then 2031 they haven't announced yet. I just feel like you can't waste a Tiger Woods pick on any of those other venues other than Bethpage. That's my issue. If they were doing like the old course 2 years later, I could see that. Or then they were coming.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to
Adair, though. Adair is like that guy, JP McManus, who Tiger's like boys with. So it's possible. But you're right. I mean, it would definitely be Tiger versus Sergio would be the A-list.
Do you just stack it and you go like Tiger and then assistant captain Phil Mickelson? Do you think they finally just like go shoulder to shoulder and they just say, let's just fucking dominate?
Well, it'll be very telling who he does pick.
You think Tiger Woods picks Phil Mickelson if he's the captain at Bethpage?
Dude, the thing is, like, at this time in 2 years, the two of those guys could be leaders of armies that are invading each other, or they could be like sharing $100 million pip pot that came from like you have no fucking idea, dude.
It's pretty obvious and linear in how reality works, but so much is going to be different in 2 years that you don't even know. Like you're saying, like they could be building golf courses together in 2 years. Like we have no idea, because right now I would say the relationship isn't great, right? Because they're basically the two faces of what were very opposing leagues. But even that has softened when we, like a year ago, imagine me telling you that there was going to be a merger between whatever the PIF and LIV and whatever all that is and the PGA Tour. You would have been laughed out of the building. So in 2 years, everything could be different. Everything.
Has Phil Mickelson gone after Tiger Woods in any of this? Or has he been pretty good about like not?
Have there been tweets about them or no? No, but I guess not.
I remember when it was announced that Tiger was being added to the board. I remember that Phil responded with something very positive about Tiger, but it was also a little tongue in cheek about the PGA Tour. It was like a little bit of like, oh, finally coming around, and then it was like, Tiger, this is obviously a no brainer. Tiger Woods will represent everybody well, but I do feel like Tiger has been very critical of, if not directly at Phil, like very indirectly at Phil.
Well, I think the reason is because Tiger knows that he could have done this and gotten so much more money in his prime. Like he definitely had the opportunity to, he could have broken off in 2005, 2006, whatever, played a strong hand with the PGA Tour. But Tiger is like a big history guy and a big legacy guy. And he knew that he was building his legacy on the PGA Tour. So he has a vested interest in the PGA Tour continuing to be the gold standard of golf. And then Phil Mickelson, a guy who, was never as good as him, never as popular as him, is the one who leads this faction to basically try to destroy the tour that he built his legacy on. So I think you don't fuck with Tiger Woods' legacy.
We got to tell you about a Hall of Fame pant. This is a pant that is in the rafters. It's hung in the rafters. These are the EB66 5-pocket pants from Peter Millar. You got to have pants. That's just what we're doing today. We live in a society here. We're not Neanderthals running around. You got to have pants on. You need them that look good, that they're incredibly comfortable. They got that stretch, yet classic material, and it's the EB66 5-pocket pant from Peter Millar.
They're great on the golf course. They're also great. I'm going to Italy, and it's the perfect weather for pants and maybe like a collared T-shirt, one of those striped polos. But I was asked, hey, do you need to go shopping for any pants? I went into my closet. I grabbed 4 different styles of pants of the EB 5-pocket. What is the EB?
EB66, like Mario Lemieux.
66. Yeah, that's right.
Pant.
5-pocket pant. EB
that's my favorite player growing up.
Pant.
Favorite player growing up.
It's an amazing player.
Super Mario.
I have them ready to go. They're nice and tapered, and they just feel great on me. And they are great pants, and I cannot wait to wear them in Rome, in Italy, in Tuscany, sipping on wine. I'm gonna be sipping on wine, wearing nice Peter Millar pants. Oh my gosh, that's all I'm gonna be bringing. That's all I'm bringing. Is Peter Millar.
It's been a handful of years ago now, but for Christmas one year, the only thing my brother asked for from me and from Santa Claus, aka my mom, was he's like, I need more pair of those 5-pocket, whatever those are, pants from Peter Millar. I said, those are the EB66 5-pocket pants. He said, I wear them to work every day. I wear them when we play golf. I need those pants. I wear them when I'm coaching hockey. So they're that good that everybody requests them. So go on over to petermillar.com, explore their complete line of performance pants from Peter Millar, who are also the official outfitter, by the way, of our close personal friend, the United States Golf Association. So go check them out, the EB66 5-pocket pant at petermillar.com.
Did you guys see Phil's post on like the first NFL Sunday where it was like
So strange.
betting?
I should.
It was a wild post. It was a wild post. It did make me feel bad for the guy, though. It really did. Like, you're reading that, and it makes you think that when you get in trouble for something that's your own addiction or bad habit, it makes you feel like if I'm in that situation, I'm like, why is everyone getting mad at me for this? Like, I'm the one that lost the money. I'm the one that had the gambling problem. Like, I have to deal with these issues. You have none of that. Like, you don't have to I didn't hurt you. Like, I still just played golf. You could have just like been a fan of me. You like could have came and see me play golf. Like, I just bet too much on games and shit. And the way he wrote it was almost like trying to explain that to people, where he's like, you guys are all going to sit around today and you're going to place your wagers, and hopefully you don't go over that line of like, it's too much and it becomes like way too much to handle. And like your relationships start to, become ruined because of it. And I read it, like it kind of worked on me, where I was like, fuck, Phil, like, yeah, I'm going to place a couple wagers today for sure. And I'm going to have a lot of fun doing it. But like when you did it, it was wrong because you bet too much and too many people got affected in your life. So I actually thought it was funny and it was ridiculous, but it made me feel bad for Phil.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of empathy, I feel like, for pretty much anybody. It kind of felt to me like it came from, not like I didn't think it was particularly clear that it came from like Phil Mickelson's heart was sort of my issue with it. I felt like it might have come from like Phil's like doing a little PR. He's trying to like make people feel bad for him a little bit. I don't know. I was looking at it a little bit with a grain of salt of like, I don't know about this.
Just the timing of it was very odd. Like no one was talking about Phil in relation to NFL football. It was just
we were all like, all right, it's NFL football. Let's place a couple wagers. And Phil's like, well, I used to do that once upon a time.
I think he used it
a lot.
He used it as like by the way, what you're about to do right now is the thing you got mad at me for doing. Like, I think it was kind of like a fuck you guys, but also like a remember that like you could easily end up in my situation if you had hundreds of millions of dollars in the same like issues.
Most of you will enjoy this football season with moderation while having lots of fun and entertainment. That was the first sentence.
What an opener. Fun and entertainment. All right.
You're right, Frankie. That is very much a like, hey, I know what you're doing today.
Like the thing you're about to do.
Before I used to go to like prom or something. Yeah. Moderation.
Right. Boy, it's long too. I'm looking back on it. It's longer than I remember.
It's so
Fantasy
long.
leagues will provide banter amongst friends, and money won or lost betting won't affect you.
It feels like a 1-800 gambling infomercial.
Yeah. He's literally like he's doing the thing that someone that did something wrong is trying to explain, like, you guys are doing it too. Like, he's like writing it very much in your face. You're about to set your fantasy lineups. That's gambling. Like, he's going through like all the things, trying to call us hypocrites, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little scripted. It reminds me a little bit
100%.
Did you guys see the USA Ryder Cup team's very candid video to the Solheim Cup?
No.
Man, it was tough. It was like they went to every player, and every player was like, I will be watching the U.S. women play in the Solheim Cup this week. You should be watching too. And it was all cutting off, and it was tough. It was tough.
Nothing beats the Xander Schauffele DraftKings Rainmakers video. Did you guys see that one?
Dude, what was that?
That was insane.
Bro, I think somebody was on the other side of that camera with a fucking sniper rifle. Like, I swear I was waiting for a red dot to show up right in between his eyes. That was crazy. It was the worst audio. It's the worst video that anyone has ever put out for promotional use. Ever.
Fuck.
I was thinking like, how did he get paid for that? Because that's like the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yes, for sure he got paid for that.
Obviously, but like, I can't believe they accepted that.
No, someone asked him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, the other ones were even worse." And then this was like the best take, and so we sent it.
That was like the Colt Nost like CBS video that he did. Do you remember that one from like a year or two ago? He was like in his like courtyard or something in his house, and he did a very Colt did the very like, I am so excited to be extending my contract.
That was horrible.
With the CBS network. Period. Like space mark.
Trent, did you just watch it? He's reading off of like someone's holding a piece of paper, hopefully
That's
with
bizarre.
a gun underneath it. And
That's bizarre.
Like, that's the fucking video you guys got to do.
That's bizarre.
Luckily, that's why people in our world have a job, right? Because like advertisers can't go to the athletes to really like perform and also be able to sell their product. Like they do the performing on the field, but like Xander Schauffele got 0 conversions off that video. 0. I'm talking not one person watched that video and converted a sale or a fucking bet or a wager, not one. So luckily, like we're able to kind of be in that same world of golf, and we are able to voice like, oh, hey, like this is what you should do. This is the product you should be using. And it gets way more traction for these companies than Xander Schauffele reading off of a bulletin board fucking with a machine gun. Fucking,
you can see his eyes
just someone just
scanning
sitting
right
there.
and left.
His eyes are all over the place. They're just like,
It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah, no, I mean he hits a golf ball way better than us, but we can do an ad read better. So that's
that's what makes the world go round, baby.
Yeah.
It's very funny to think that someone on the other end of that was like, I'm going to send this video. That's perfect. That's like checked exactly what they wanted.
that's the difference. That's where we are. We have always been like, we know if it's like, we are better at predicting how people are going to feel about that video than those guys are, than the people in those positions. We've always said, or a couple of us around here, or maybe I don't know who, but like, if you want to, like, we would be great internet consultants, like for a company, where there's a room full of people and they come up with this idea and they shoot a video, and we would just sit there and be like, no or yes, because we just know what the reaction is going to be. And for some other reason, or for some reason, it's a blind spot for the people in those rooms where they'll just be like, put it out. That's great. It's like, no, don't.
Dude, the Xander thing reminds me of our boy Mike Myers, who is 12-year-old Pete, who's now 15-year-old Pete, who shoots like 65s at Liberty National. His dad and their company sponsored, I think they still might, Xander for years, and they sponsor like his right sleeve so that when he's hitting, the camera shows him down the line, and like his 2 big wins were the Olympics and performances in Ryder Cups when he's not allowed to have the logo.
Fuck.
And he's like, God damn it. It's like you pay this guy and he just wins spots where you're not allowed to have it. So that's a tough game to play, man. Allocating marketing and trying to find the right people. That's why hopefully people continue to sponsor us, because our listeners will respond to it. So we appreciate that.
Man, I just thought this is another fucking, if you haven't watched the Ryder Cup yet, just pause it or skip over it. But it just hit me that in this match against Dave on the driving range, he was like talking to Austin or somebody about his wedge, like his 56-degree wedge. And like he was hitting it and he's like, I have no idea how far my clubs are going. And I, standing right next to him, got into that, like, help Dave Portnoy with every single thing that he says or does. Like, you have to like answer and make sure that you're on top of your game. So I was like, I was like, well, where are you hitting it? And he hit one, and now I'm just helping him and I'm playing him in a match. And he hit one, and I said, and I've lasered it, and I go, okay, that's going 62 yards, and you took a full swing with that club. I said, do it again. He did it. I go, that went 60 yards. So I'm like, next time you're on a golf course and you have 60 yards, just take that exact swing. That ended up fucking us. And that's the reason we did not win the match. He hit 2 shots from 60 yards over bunkers that went to like 10 or 15 feet, and Riggs made the putt, and it was up and downs from where he was.
So Kirk said to me last week, he was watching. He goes, I'm watching this Dave and whoever else match from day one of the Ryder Cup. And he goes, it is unfathomable that you and Dave tied me and Frankie. And I said, but you got to realize that for about 7 of the holes, I played about as well as I could possibly play. And Dave hit 2 wedge shots that he had no business hitting.
Nope.
None.
When he was standing over the first one, I looked at Kirk and I'm like, we're winning this hole. Like, there's no way. He's going to chunk it. He's going to hit it sideways. Riggs going to have a tough putt, and then Dave's going to have to putt. If you watch back that video, I don't think Dave was ever in a position to like have to make a hard putt. I think you were always in the position to make the putt to go in. It was bizarre. It was like a bizarre setup for alternate shot. Like, you guys were fucking on fire with like the combos. He also never missed a drive. So I think he only drove the ball like twice, and they both went straight. Remember the one that missed the trees and just went down the middle? We're like, how'd that miss the trees? And then and then you'll watch the Jersey Jerry video, like, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, but like his first drive in the Jersey Jerry video, he like topped it. It's just like where the fuck was that in this match?
Dude, that's how we felt against Big Cat when we played against
Big Cat hit the green with a fucking driver.
The first one, he hit two drivers off the deck, and me and Trent are looking at each other like, this is so unlucky. Like, that guy will never do that again. He's hitting drivers out of the fucking rough.
His driver on the par 5 that went to the front of the green will never happen again. That was a 1 in a billion shot. But then he did
do it twice during that round. It was like,
but that one specifically one specifically went like 235 yards, and I had pushed one left. Like, we had no chance, and it was just a 1 in a billion performance at a Big Cat.
Dude, it makes you think, like, when people are in spots where they truly, the situation requires them to focus, that they could just hit and perform at rates that they can't otherwise perform. Like, when you're just, I get we're all nervous and it's tougher, but like a guy like Dave or a guy like Big Cat, like, I don't know that they're particularly nervous because there's not much expectations, and they're just, when they're laser focused, it's like somehow you see shots. And you're like, how in the literal fuck did those people do that? They never do that.
I mean, it's Brett McCabe stuff where it's like focus and prep, and like the way that your brain operates is way more than people think in the game of golf. The ball's not moving, and you should be able to just like hit it and perform at a higher rate than we usually do. The ball's literally not moving. You should be able to just hit the ball. And I think like everything, just like our swing and our mental capacity and everything just like gets in the way. But like if you focus on it, like Dave was like, I know what to do here. I know Frankie told me that a full swing just goes 60 yards. He just like had no worries about that shot and just hit it, and it went right next to the pin. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I can't explain how Big Cat did his, because I've never seen him hit one off the deck like that.
We should have had him fucking hit it out of the fairway. The rough killed us.
Oh yeah,
that was so devastating. That was so devastating for us. That was a miss on our part. That was a mental error, Trent Daddy. I got to be on top of that.
That's true.
Right.
It's got to be. Yeah, I got to be on top of that. That Kirk would have never let that happen. Never.
Oh my God, so good. Yep. Make sure you go watch the Ryder Cup, and that was a great series. Shout out to our behind the scenes guys. Just a hell of a fucking 2 weeks, and now they're just back to our grind. And you know, you'd think that because we haven't released a video on our channel for 2 weeks, almost our guys like had a break. Nope. They put 8 videos out over the last 2 weeks on the main Barstool YouTube. And now we're right back into the regularly scheduled programming.
Also, just knock on wood, because the one's not out yet, or I guess it is now when you're listening to this maybe. But like the release went well. Everything so far has been pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, it went out. It's getting a ton of views. It's got huge personalities in it with a lot of opinions about a lot of things. We're just skating right now, you know. And now they're back to the Foreplay channel.
Every video has been great, with like previews for the next episode.
Right.
And just so good. So good.
So good.
So good. So good.
So good.
Fucking Lurch, man. This guy Lurch doesn't show up to these podcasts. He doesn't fucking answer a single text, but he's tweeting at me about running these miles every time the Islanders lose to the Rangers. I said, I'm not doing it in preseason. I told him I will not run a mile today. The Islanders lost to the Rangers in a preseason game. They had a guy named, I don't even know what his fucking name was, that was at center for the New York Islanders this time. I'm like, that's not a loss. Like, this is a practice. He's like, it's a competition. You know how he gets. He's fucking coughing up loogies and shit. He's like, well, it's a competition. I didn't know that you were a guy that didn't pay attention to competition. I was like, brother, I'm not fucking playing, and I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not doing that.
Hey, Frankie. Oh, okay.
Oh,
all right.
I'll go double or nothing with them for the first regular season Islander Ranger game. Lose if the Islanders win, he doesn't have to run one. If the Islanders lose, I'll run 2 miles. I'm not running one today. It was a preseason game. It's no chance. I am going to preseason Islanders tonight, though. UBS. We're back.
I'm pretty sick of Connor Bedard already. I'll be honest with you.
That guy's
I'm pretty
a
sick of
problem.
that fucking guy already. How unlucky is it that the St. Louis Blues had to deal with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews for 15 fucking years, and then the Chicago Blackhawks get this guy who just scores like he's Alexander Ovechkin whenever the fuck he wants. We're gonna have to watch that for another 15 or 20 years.
That video
it's
of him
awful.
There's a video on the NHL Instagram. If you can weed through all of the New York Rangers posts that they put up every single day, there's like 9 of them. But so you're gonna see a sea of blue. But there's one post that they came up with for the Chicago Blackhawks that he's flipping this like saucer, like kind of like over everyone's head, kind of backhand pass to Taylor Hall. It's one of the more impressive things I've ever seen. It's perfectly placed, and you can just tell that this guy not only has the skills, but he's got the hockey IQ that everyone talks about, that like Sid has and Connor McDavid has, where they see the game in a different way. It's an amazing pass in practice, an amazing pass. And that was more impressive to me than like his release point. Like you're seeing all these things about like, oh, he brings the puck. He can shoot the puck from anywhere, brings it in towards the skates. He brings it all the way out. He can flick the wrist and it'll go bar down. His fucking IQ, I think, might be the scariest part.
I know. He's a generational talent. That's what I mean.
And they shouldn't have won. They shouldn't even have gotten the first pick. They had all these like problems with the fucking franchise. They're like,
just like genuinely bad stuff going on there from a bad franchise, and they just get the number 1 pick. It's infuriating.
And then when you go through the history of teams that have lost the first pick of things, like one guy like practiced like in the wrong. Like one guy like went to like a training camp that wasn't supposed to, and like they they took away draft picks. Like they had like organizational horror stories in Chicago, and they're like, no problem, you guys can get the best player that's been around for 20 years.
It's honestly unfair. It's like they're and it's not too crazy to figure it out from the league standpoint. I mean, look at like you want to try to recreate the Chicago Bulls, and like it's good for the league. It's good for fucking, I get it, but that's infuriating when you're fucking St. Louis Blues out here grinding with a good, pure, legitimate organization, just getting completely fucked because Chicago happens to be 4 hours north. It's in
you got Kevin Hayes
city.
though. That's fun.
Awesome that we got Hayes. I can't believe hockey. Like last night, having this glass of wine, going to take a shit every 5 minutes, I was like amazed that there was just a preseason hockey game on. It was nice.
I can't wait. I'm going to just go. I'm going to feel the ice. I'm going to feel the coldness tonight. I'm going to wear a hoodie. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch some preseason hockey. Just get ready. I'm going to fucking take notes, see who's playing well, who's going to make the team. Fucking fun shit, man. Fun shit.
All right. I can't wait for the Ryder Cup. We're going to have Sunday afternoon, evening. We'll have our knee-jerk recap podcast. We'll have Frankie and Dan will be in Rome at Marco Simone for it. Myself and Trent will be remote. We'll be watching it on TV, like we said, so that we can actually digest the whole thing. So yeah, I'm fucking fired up. Let's get this thing. Let's get balls in the air. Thank you everybody for listening or watching on YouTube. And yeah, we'll be back Sunday. Hit it hard. Let's go USA.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard. USA all the way.